Yeah. So, Stacey, tell us just a brief overview of who you are and kind of, to showcase why I asked you to be an expert in talking about the programmatic and the digital advertising side of things.
Sure. So hi, I'm Stacey Wild Perry. I am a sales director here at simpli.fi, supporting the East Coast team, but specifically calling on clients and agencies in the Mid-Atlantic territory, which is Pittsburgh, which includes you. Mm-hmm. Why you brought me on, I don't know. I'm actually very humbled that you invited me on, but I think it has something to do with our longstanding partnership and how over the last year since we've been working together. Obviously, you've been a longtime client since before I came to simpli.fi, but the success that we've had, that we've been able to achieve for the clients at Ethic, but also the way that we've been able to support each other, us helping you out, you helping us out. It's been quite a partnership, but it's always great to work with people like you, Jeff, and the team at Ethic, because you guys always know what you're talking about, your stuff, and you're always hungry to learn more, which makes my job really easy. So thank you for being a great partner.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And the same thing, like you guys are a good partner as well. You're our preferred DSP, and the culture over there is just really good. And that's why we've worked with a couple different people, but they've always been really good individuals. So just to give a brief overview, the first kind of topic that I want to talk about is, I'm just going to call it Programmatic 101. Mm-hmm. So can you kind of summarize what exactly does simpli.fi do?
Yeah. So, you already mentioned it. simpli.fi is a DSP, and what that stands for is a demand side platform. So the easiest way that I think to understand it is, when you're driving down a highway, you see billboards, and those billboards are going to be the same for every car that drives by. When you're on the internet, browsing whatever it is you browse on the internet, you have all those little billboards on the web pages. So demand side platforms help piece together advertisers who would like to buy those little mini, web billboards with the advertisers that would like to purchase them and show their ads to their clients who are viewing those pages.
Yeah, awesome. And then in particular, simpli.fi's specialty is display ads, video pre-roll ads, and OTT ads, right?
Yes, and coming soon, by the end of the month, audio.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. That's something that we've been
spoiler alert
eagerly anticipating. So that's a big nugget of information for us. So I know that
you've been anticipating it. Oof.
Yeah.
I've been holding my breath since like July last year for it. So.
Oh, I know. You and I have talked a lot about that. So that's exciting. So audio is going to be new here, and by the time this thing rolls out, it might even be available and everything. So that's really cool. So I think one of the big differentiators when it comes to DSPs is the targeting capabilities. Mm-hmm. And everything. And simpli.fi is really known for a couple of them and everything. Can you kind of take me through what exactly, there's obviously the benefit of having all of these publishers that are coming into your system, so you can actually just identify how, this person happens to be on CNN.com, this person happens to be on ESPN, this person happens to be on X, Y, and Z, or a million other ones. You can pop up there. But the targeting of reaching the right audience is also an important aspect of it. Can you share a little bit about the kind of targeting capabilities that simpli.fi uses?
Exactly. Yeah. So, you kind of hit the nail on the head that just because someone's on CNN does not mean that they are maybe the audience you're trying to reach. Not everyone who goes to CNN is the same person, or, has the same interest, has the same political leaning views. Could be, so many different factors that come in. So that's one of the things that does make simpli.fi unique, is that in addition to being a DSP, we're also a DMP, which stands for Data Management Platform. So our targeting capabilities come from our ability to work directly with data sources. So those might be publishers, like you just mentioned. They may be data providers like credit unions. That we do work with one of the big 3 credit bureaus to pull information directly into our platform, or it may be SDKs, which stand for software developer kits, that are incorporated with apps and can pull a lot of information. So pretty much whoever can help us get data, we're going to try to work with them so that we can pull that into our platform and then offer it to you to target. That gives us the ability to not just target off of, oh, they're on CNN.com, let's go get them. but location based. So down to an individual geofence, storefront or household addressable level where we're targeting specific households based on, certain demographic characteristics. It allows us to target based on the keywords that they're either, going to cars.com and searching for. Sorry, I'm in the market for a new car. So that's always a top of mind example because it is such a frustrating process, but I digress. But no, so, you go to a website that you're interested in and you search for something, or you read a series of articles that are all on the same topic. So, those same keywords will be coming up. So again, by working directly with these data providers, it allows us to offer geofencing, household addressable, search keyword retargeting, in addition to contextual retargeting, which is, kind of like news categories, the CNNs, the Fox News, the MSNBCs that we talked about, sports, all that, or even having to rely heavily on third-party data segments like, Blue Sky Oracle is a huge company out there that anyone that does digital probably is familiar with. So again, we work specifically with the same data providers that Oracle and Blue Sky use, but we do it so that you can get a little bit more custom with the targeting and also get a little bit more granular insights so that you can really see what's performing for you and what's not.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And then to kind of summarize it as well. So the way that I always kind of boil it down is the platform allows us to hyper target based off of geographic location down to like 4.9 meters, which and everything, which I know that some of the privacy stuff that's coming up is going to make it some things a little bit fuzzy, but I know you guys aren't anticipating too much of a variable on that. And then we call it keyword targeting. So what people are searching for, or what people's content that they're reading, and everything. The contextual, the category-based stuff, as well as third-party data. So essentially who the people are based off of interests, past purchases, demographic information, those kind of things. So it's the way that I look at it is, and I think that you look at it the same way. Lots of different options with a lot of different kind of combinations and everything. And then the craft is figuring out how to put the right combinations together and everything. So for somebody that is thinking about getting into programmatic, whether it's a agency that's looking to add it into their repertoire, or an advertiser that's like, hey, I really like the idea of going after my competitors, people that are into their, like, the actual walk into their facility, or just hyper targeting on the internet in general. And they're looking at some of these things. What would you say are the most important components to ensure that somebody has a successful programmatic campaign? Because there's some methodology that needs to be done around these kind of campaigns. Otherwise, you can, I would say, not easily, but maybe easily waste dollars if you aren't kind of adhering to maybe a couple of these top priorities. So what would those top priorities be to focus on for you?
Yeah, I would say making sure you know exactly what your goals are. Sometimes goals can actually be conflicting and prevent the campaign from having success because you're trying to do too much going towards this, goal, but in reality, you actually wanted this goal. So making sure that everything is aligned and that you have tactics that line up well with what those goals are. The best way to do that is to educate yourself, but really rely on, whoever your programmatic specialist is or whoever your programmatic partner is. Finding a programmatic partner, if you're, I think you and I have done a good job about this, is, we've been able to, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel my goal is to always shoot you straight. I never want to, I never want to misdirect you. And so I think having a partner that you can trust is obviously like the number one thing that you can do. But trust takes time to build up. So having the conversations early on, what you recommend and why, and just getting an understanding of, okay, here's our goal, here's what we're trying to do, here are the responses I've got, here's what I'm comfortable with, here's what I trust, and understanding, to your point of how do you not waste dollars. Some people can get too focused can try to, narrow their audience too much. And then, you've done the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So just making sure, again, that you find a partner that you can have that conversation with, that you can rely on, and making sure that, you have a balance. Because to your point, yes, just because someone's interested in news does not necessarily mean that they are going to be interested in whatever product it is you're selling. But at the same time, if you layer on gender and household income and college education level and number of children and an interest in knitting, that may be too much.
Mm-hmm.
You may have just narrowed it down too much, and there are probably people outside of that segment that might actually be interested in your product, but now you've excluded them because you were trying to make sure that you only included people that you thought would be the right fit.
Yeah. And the way I look at it too is there's nothing wrong with creating that hyper niche audience, but if that's the only thing you rely on, that's where you cover into problems. But if you have that audience, it's almost like, the way I associate a lot with two analogies. One's military based, one's fishing based. I'll use the fishing based one. You can go fishing and you can go spear fishing, and you have one shot to go get that fish and everything, or you can use reel, or you can cast a net and everything. You can do a bunch of different things and stuff. It's more expensive to cast a big net out there and hope that you get some fish, but you're also casting a bigger net. But when you're spear fishing, there's a higher variable of missing and getting nothing, or really landing that one. So having a good combination when you're looking for those trophy fish is to go spear fishing, but also have some lines in the water, also go cast a net out there as well too. So having multiple tier tactics is what we found to have a lot of success with. But when we've had clients that are like, I just want this niche narrow kind of thing, they end up shooting the spear and missing a lot of times with it because it's just too narrow. So I 100% agree.
Yeah, and to your point, you're going to do all those different types of fishing in very different situations. If you're in a stream, you're certainly not going to be casting a large net and trudging around. So also finding the right scenario, the right fishing setup for the right situation is making sure again that they meet and that they are aligned.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm gonna update that methodology and everything to include like the streams versus the ocean versus the lakes and all that kind of stuff. But another big component that we found to be massively effective or not effective on campaigns is creative, and not just the creative that we're putting in front of people in display ads or video ads or soon to be audio ads with you guys and everything. We do audio ads as well, just never through Simplify, because this is going to be the first time that's been available. But and this is a belief that I have with all advertising, but especially in programmatic, is the creative has to be on point to convince somebody to take an action. But it goes beyond that. It's also the user experience side of things as well. So it's not just the creative of the ads, but it's also, well, where are we sending them? When they click, where are they going? Those kind of things. Can you tell me a little bit about your feelings and what you've seen at a more macro level, being at the DSP, when it comes to the importance of creative?
Yeah, creative can either make or break your campaign. It can be, if it's really poor, you're really going to have a hard time with it. And that is, anytime a creative does not have a clear call to action. So even if it's like, click here to learn more, or learn more, or, sign up now, whatever it might be, there has to be something included in it to clearly help indicate to the user what the next step is going to be. Oftentimes you see, text ads or something where you think maybe you're about to read an article and then it takes you to, a page, or, put in your email address here, and you're like, whoa, no, I didn't, and now the user has a very adverse reaction and they're shut down. And if they're like me, where they're stubborn, they are boycotting you until, for who knows how long. So, that's obviously not the experience you want. As long as, again, the creatives have that clear call to action and help facilitate a great user experience, you're going to have more success. And, that could be, it can be pretty general. I know that's a pretty broad answer, but at the same time, you also don't want to like overdo it. So again, we're all back to finding that balance, but it should have a very consistent flow and a very consistent feel from the ad itself to your point, Jeff, the landing page. Or because, Simplify does a lot of geofencing, there are a number of campaigns that we run to help drive people to a physical location. It should all have the same feel, whether it's that physical location to the website, to the ad, and back around. But, having some sort of consistency and cohesiveness really does help that user experience, which is going to make them more likely to engage, more likely to spend time on your site, more likely to get to your site. And if they're not immediately bombarded with a, please enter your email to access, and you're, no, thank you. I was just trying to find out what your, store hours are. Again, it all goes back to the balance, but, having consistency and a theme, just like any business would want, we want your business to have the same consistency and, reputation across all jobs, all products, whatever it might be.
Yeah, no. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think that there's still, especially not the video ads and the audio ads, not as much, but the banner ads still, I think, have that for people that are, I would say, in their 30s or older, that grew up in the era of pop-ups and not trusting digital ads and stuff like that. I think there's still some of that. So having a trustworthy kind of path is important. The other thing, and this is going to be like the last point of the Programmatic 101 section, the other thing that I think is really interesting is banner ads are the most clickable ads that you guys do, because video pre-roll and OTT both aren't 100% clickable all the time, depending on what platform they are on. But banner ads click-through rate nationally is 0.05% to 0.08%. Now, admittedly, all of the simplified campaigns that we do usually kind of double that. So you guys and us are kind of exceeding that. But one of the things that I talk about is 99.95 to 99.92% of the time that someone is served an ad, they do not click on it. So there's other actions going on. You alluded it to the geofencing side of things, where, yeah, maybe they saw the ad and then they just came into the store. It's a product or a service that they don't have to go to the website for that for. So can you just kind of go through a couple of the paths that people will naturally take? Because, another thing is like search volume when we run your guys' campaigns on the platform is just way up. Mm-hmm. As well too. So tell us a little bit about how people experience when they see an ad. What do they do after that traditionally?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so much of it depends on the user and what their habits are. I'll talk from a personal level, because I think that'll be easy to follow. So, I already mentioned that we're in the market for a car, and it's a frustrating process. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to look at photos of vehicles on a screen this size. So I can't tell you how many times I have seen an ad for a car and been like, oh, you know what? I haven't heard of that dealership yet. Let me go look them up. And I just pull up my, laptop right there. Again, no click, no action taken. We talked about consistency and making sure that, campaign goals align with what we're running. To your point, video. Obviously you cannot click the giant ad on your TV for a CTV ad. It's not clickable. This is not a giant iPad screen where your toddler's going to go up and touch it. Mm-hmm.
And just real quick, for somebody that may doesn't know, CTV is connected TV. Yeah. That basically is streaming television onto your actual TV set. So things like Sling TV, Xbox TV, Apple TV, Roku, those kind of things. So just want to interject that.
Yep. So again, you're not going to be able to click that ad. You don't necessarily want a user to click a pre-roll ad. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. A lot of it just depends, again, on what the goal and the intent of the campaign is. So, maybe you have someone that watches the video and you're like, oh, you know what? I do need to do that. And so they pick up the phone and schedule an appointment, or, they decide, I'm about to run errands, I'm going to add it in my places to stop. And, you know, like they write it down on their list of things to do. So there are so many things that can happen after an ad is shown that, you know, that online digital breadcrumb does not follow.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, again, having a partner that can help you track some of these. So, you know, obviously you're familiar with our geofencing product. We track foot traffic. We've talked about that a little bit. That's what we call an offline action because it's not happening online. So having a partner that can track online actions, but also offline actions and kind of see, you know, and again, make sure that, you know, CTR used to be the end all be all for campaign performance in this industry. At least it was back when I started. It's not so much anymore. So, you know, do we want completion rate? Do we want foot traffic? Do we want online orders? What do we want? And that's where, you know, having all these potential, you know, you could go one way or another all over the place with potential campaign outcomes.
Yeah.
And only, to your point, only, you know, 0.05% are actually going to have that next step of a click.
Yeah. And you know, one to add on to the geofencing with the conversions, the physical stuff, just to let people know, geofencing uses GPS technology to really pinpoint where users have been. They use that same technology to say that someone converted and actually entered your location as well too. So just a little bit of clarification on that. And then the other thing that I wanted to really hit home to, that I become a huge believer after really, you know, having Ethic become a Simplify expert and programmatic expert over the years and everything, is search is such a key component to the overall campaign. What we find is anywhere between 20 to 45% increase in search traffic, both paid and organic, depending on if we have paid campaign and everything, whenever we run a really well put together programmatic digital ad as well too. So that's another component that we always look at. Like we're actually at the point now where Ethic is literally saying to people, we will not run your programmatic campaign unless we address some of these things, if there are some glaring things. And it's really neat because people will kind of get and understand it. And those things are making sure that they have some kind of strategy for search. So if someone sees their ad or hears their ad, then they can search for it and find it. Kind of like your example, you saw it on the phone, but you went to the internet, so you search for it. As well as ensuring that the landing page and that kind of funnel is well put together, as it possibly can be. A good example is we're doing a recruitment campaign that just launched this month, and we had some delay. We purposely had delays so they could get a web page up, because they originally were having it going straight to application page, and the very first question is, what's your social security number? And it's like an old school page as well too. And we're like, we can run this, but it will not work if you send them to that page and everything. So those are some really good examples. And that's kind of a overview of kind of like a brief snapshot of like Programmatic 101 and everything. So Stacey, I appreciate you kind of walking us through that. And if you have any questions, you can obviously get in contact with us at Ethic Advertising Agency, and then Stacey and her team work very closely with us as well too. We use Simplify as a massive resource as well too. So leave questions in any comments section, or just kind of contact us directly. So thanks for the segment, Stacey.
Thank you, Jeff.